Breaking news brought to you by TFF. Morgan, I'm with Morgan here. Frank Lampard has just been sacked as the Chelsea manager within the last hour or so. Just been announced. Morgan, mate, what are your thoughts?
My initial thoughts are one of shock. I really thought he'd be given longer. But at the same time, you think about the coach of the club. It's all about silverware and it's all about winning now. And at the end of the day, he wasn't doing that. 5 losses in your last 8 games isn't good enough.
Wow.
And one of my initial thoughts are something that's a bit unfortunate with is the order this season's transpired. Now, what I mean by that is that you think about the beginning of the season, Chelsea got off to quite a good start. Obviously, at the beginning, they looked a bit shaky at the back. They picked things up. They were getting on some good form. When they beat Leeds in December, they were top of the league. And it was going really well. As I said, though, since then, it's been a landslide, really, down the Premier League. And if he had this struggles early on, and then he's been picking it up, kind of like Man United have, and now he's heading back up towards the top 4, I think just a different timeline would have helped him keep the job and stay on longer because of the form they would be in. But right now, the form's terrible. And it is a cause for concern where they are in the league. So I do understand, given Chelsea's ruthless nature, that, they've gotten rid of him. And I think it's been something they've been thinking about for a few weeks, obviously with Thomas Tuchel being named immediately as the potential person to take over. And that might happen quite swiftly. It's kind of a shock to me, but at the same time, given the coach of the club, I can kind of understand it. Yeah,
mate, I'm in the same boat with you in terms of shock factor. I think that initially when Frank got appointed, I thought untouchable, Chelsea FC legend. Not necessarily untouchable, but I think maybe a bit more lenient. I feel like especially if you look at Arsenal, with them being in a similar position, appointing Mikel. Mikel's by no stretch a legend at Arsenal. He played for them for a number of years, of course. But Frank obviously has got that almost legend, or not almost, he is a legend at that club. And I thought, this guy's untouchable. But Mikel had that rough patch at Arsenal, remember. We've got to remember that Mikel had that rough patch, and we touched on that. He was given more time, and now you start to see it picking up. But touching on your point with the timeline, I think that he sort of went up, and then now he's going down. But the ruthless nature of this football club determines that if you start going on this downward spiral for too long, if you're going on this downward spiral for a longer period of time, you're out.
Yeah,
I think in comparison to Mikel, I just think that this guy has such a legend status club. I did not expect this. Never. Not this early. No way. I thought he'd be given time. Long-term project. Where's the direction of this football club going? Where?
Yeah, and I think you make a great point with Arteta because, he was only really assistant Man City. This is his first managerial job. It's quite a big job to take on. But I think they took him on knowing that this isn't an overnight project. This is something that's going to take time. And Arsenal are a rebuilding stage, so it kind of fit in well together there with them rebuilding and trying to build something at the same time with a new manager. And you think about where they've been when they've struggled, as low as like 14th in the league. Yeah. Any other experienced manager at Arsenal, he's gone. He's done. But with Arteta...
Unai Emery, mate.
Exactly. And you think about that. But with Arteta, they've given him time. And they hired him knowing that it would be necessary. So
yeah, exactly.
I didn't expect it to get as bad as it did. But they've said, you know what, to build this, we need to be patient and trust in Arteta when we hired him. And I think the same should have gone for Lampard. But again, given the ruthless nature of the club, it's not really a surprise. And let me just run through quickly some of these since Jose's first stint at Chelsea back in the mid-2000s. So we've got... and since around late 2007. So we've got Avram Grant, 8 months. Scolari, 7 months. Gus Hiddink, 3 months. AVB, Andres Villas-Boas, 9 months. Di Matteo, 8 months. And remember, that came after the Champions League, where he won the Champions League with them.
I hated that only lasted so much, bro. I hated it so
November.
Much.
It's questionable. And then, the famous Rafael Benitez, 7 months. And then Sarri, before Lampard, only made it 11 months. So only Mourinho's second stint, Ancelotti and Antonio Conte are the 3 managers that lasted over a year since 2000.
And Conte was a questionable coach.
Since 2007. That is insanity. I mean, that says it all for me. And I think you have to question, if you're hiring Frank Lampard, Chelsea legend, he's only had experience at Derby, you've got to accept that hiring comes with some patience. Otherwise,
it has to.
they
It has
hired
to.
him too early. Say to Frank Lampard, look, we want you at the club, but you need to go get more experience. And you look at someone like Steven Gerrard, right? And you think about his connection to, Liverpool, right? So, and you see that coming, in the future at some point in the timeline. Gerrard is Liverpool manager, but now he's gone to Rangers, and he's built this amazing track record, huge success.
Definitely.
You look at how Rangers, think about not that long ago that they had to make all the way, back up the leagues, and now they're way ahead of Celtic. Kind of embarrassing Celtic this year in the season, and he's done amazing
Gerrard's
stuff.
Done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, in the Scottish Premier League is great. And then you think about that experience he's gained and what he can bring to Liverpool somewhere down the line. Maybe Lampard, needed more time to gain other experience because, for Lampard, is there any greater club to manage Chelsea? I don't think
that
so.
would be, in my eyes, that would be Frank's creme de la creme. If you want to say it like that, that would be his top, bro.
Where does he go? Where does he go next? Do you know what I mean? Does he take a step down? Does he pivot into somewhere in Europe? Where does he go? It's early in his career.
This
Chelsea
is what
job should have been something he built up towards. Maybe he took it on too early. Maybe he wasn't ready, especially with the timing of signing such huge players, so much expectations on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And we'll see how they do because slight different for anyone that watches the NBA with Steve Nash taking on with the Brooklyn Nets. They've now got KD, Harden, and Kyrie Irving. The toughest job right now in the NBA to take them to a championship. Sure. It's his first year as a head coach, so. Same sort of boat, and Lampard didn't have enough to cut it, and he's been given the axe. And the fact that, as I said, that Thomas Tuchel's already been rumored as a potential makes me think.
Well, they're going in a different direction now, aren't they? So
exactly, and they were thinking about it. And I think in terms of trying to see into their heads where they were at right now, it's halfway through the season. I think they either have to get rid of Lampard now and give enough time for someone else to come in and save their season, I guess you could say, or they stick with Lampard to the rest of the season because if they get rid of him in 6-7 games, it's too small of a window. So I think they either said, right, do we stick with Lampard, trust in him, see how it goes, or do we bring in someone else? And clearly their decision has been made.
I just want to touch on 2 points that you just said there, which Please. I think are excellent. I think number one, way too early for him. Way too early. As we just said, the top job. You're a legend at this football club. Your dream should be to manage. When players retire, I want to get into management. My dream is to come back here and manage a team. Thierry Henry, I might have said that, or definitely some ex-Arsenal players have 100% said that. Why move? You're building a managerial portfolio. You have to build a portfolio to get to the top. You can't Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp. Deep managerial CVs, right? Yeah. If you haven't got that, you either, as Chelsea FC, you're appointing Frank Lampard. You look at it, right? Okay, so you've got not a big CV, right? Not a big CV on him. So you've got to understand that he's got not a big CV. So you have to be patient. You can't be ruthless with it. You've got to say, okay, we know our management style has been a bit ruthless in terms of the way we sack managers, but look. This is maybe a different direction now, like Arsenal have gone. Different direction, different vibe now. It's a young coach. Maybe they shouldn't have spent big this summer. Maybe they should have let Frank work in with the players he's got. They got so many players on loan, this football club. Get some of them back in. Even if, Tammy
Abraham. Just let Tomori go as well to AC
That's
Milan.
what I mean. But I know, Tammy Abraham maybe, isn't cutting it necessarily. Work with them. This is a rebuilding season. I know we touched on the NBA again. The NBA teams, they go through these rebuilds. I said to my mate that supports Arsenal, he said, I don't know about getting McCowan. I said, look, think of it as an NBA rebuild. We are rebuilding. If Arsenal do finish 10th this season, honestly, I don't care. I know we're rebuilding. We're getting young players in. We're working. We haven't spent, although it's annoying, we haven't spent a ridiculous amount of money. Why did they need to spend all this money to have their first season with Frank Lampard, who's managed Derby County? He should not have gone there as early, and Chelsea should have been more patient. They're the two main takeaways for me.
This is exactly, and just to kind of round up, this is the exact thing. Think about where Lampard was at Derby, and whether they should have taken him at Chelsea, and maybe it was too early. If you have the ruthless nature of that club, obviously it's way too early to take him. The only way you take on Lampard is if, as you said, you accept that you're entering a rebuild stage, and then if you take him on, you've got to have patience and time exactly as Arsenal have had.
Yeah.
But their actions in firing Frank Lampard show that they were not at that point. They were not willing to accept they're in the rebuild, and therefore they shouldn't have taken him on in the first place. It was too early. You say go get other experience.
Yeah. Just quickly, I know we're trying to round up here, but I think I don't know how negotiating contracts with a manager works, but I think like basically what you've just said, if you're bringing in a young manager like Frank Lampard with this legend status at the club, as we keep saying, you need to lay out. You're going to say, right, you have 6 months to get results or you're out the door. But with a young manager, you should be saying, and I'm assuming most of the clubs say, right, or even they have in their minds, we're going to give you a couple of years. We're going to give him 2-3 transfer windows, see what sort of players they're bringing in. Why not give him, he hasn't even, the January transfer window hasn't even finished. Give him next summer, give him half of next season, and then review where he's at. Why are you making rash decisions? It's annoying for me. I'm not even a Chelsea fan, and I'm getting wound up at this.
Yeah,
like it's so rash and it's so stupid.
He's not the kind of manager where you kind of just see how they do on the fly. You just observe his performance ongoing. He should be a manager. You bring them in and you say, listen, 2 years time, this is what we want to see in 2 years time. We don't get how you get there, but you've got 2 years to get there. If not, you're
and don't keep your expectations too high. Why would Chelsea's expectations with Frank Lampard coming in be higher than they are now? Yeah, they've been on a run. I get that. But it wasn't to be expected. Nobody thought Chelsea can have this breakout. Yeah, the signings. But Frank Lampard is a new coach. He had little time at Derby. I'm annoyed.
Yeah,
and I'm shocked. That's all I can say.
I can tell.
Yeah, no, totally agree, mate. And so that'll be the end of that then. Morgan, thank you for joining me, mate, to cover this breaking news. Just to recap, guys, Frank Lampard has been sacked as the manager of Chelsea Football Club, just announced within the last hour or so. Thank you for watching. Morgan, thanks for joining me, mate.
Yeah, take care. I'm excited to talk about this more in the next episode.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be touching on this more for sure. And more points in the next podcast, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.
See ya.